Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Todd and Erin Daily Stream, the podcast in the cemetery with Tom Carr.
You've spent a lot of time here, though, Tom, so this isn't really a big change for you, is it?
No, I figure it's probably the safest place to be for a zombie apocalypse. It's going to be really hard for these guys to get out of the ground.
Plus, you have a place to sleep.
Now, for you who haven't met Tom Carr before, we have been longtime friends because this man is the preeminent ghost hunter along the Wasatch Front. Now, you've written great books like Talking to Yourself in the Dark, The Guide to the Paranormal. You've been on a lot of national shows like My Ghost Story.
Yep.
So this is something you've been living for a long time now.
I started when I was 16 years old, and I'm amazingly 48 now. So
I can't believe you survived this long based on some of your stories.
Yeah, so it's 30 some odd years of talking to myself in the dark.
You know, what was looking back now on some of this history of yours, what were a couple of the episodes that looking back on them later you went, hey, that was awesome, I survived that? Because I know you get excited when stuff happens to you.
Alcatraz. So I had the opportunity to spend the night in Alcatraz
Wow.
back when I was I was 19. Me, my best friend, and another buddy of mine, we were going to the final tour. We were both leaving on our missions. And Eric
We're
was
going to die anyway, so why not? Yeah.
Yeah. So we decided to go hang out on Alcatraz for the night. My buddy's dad worked there, and it was probably the scariest thing I've ever done. Now I look back at it and I think to myself, I would love to go back and do it again, because I probably wouldn't be as scared as I am now, because it takes a lot to freak me out. I become very desensitized by a lot of this. I love the story of taking some people through a building, and all of a sudden we had this door close on us. And I was like, oh my gosh, did you guys see that? And I turned around and the people were gone. And I'm just like,
No, this is exciting.
this is what we came here for. What are you running away from? No, it's a lot of it has to do with the history too. I dig the history of buildings and finding out the stories of why it may be haunted, or if it's not haunted. So.
Okay, so let's talk about ghost hunting tools, because now that we are into the electronic age, there's a lot of surprisingly effective little gizmos. What do you use when you're ghost hunting?
Good question. This is actually called a ghost meter.
You actually have a ghost meter.
In my pocket. Yeah.
Of course you do,
Of course
because
I do.
everyone does. Why do you have a ghost meter in your pocket?
So this is an electronic EMP, electronic magnetic predictor. It predicts EMF. Which a lot of people believe ghosts can communicate with that. So if a ghost is actually around, this will light up, the needle will go up, and we can ask it yes and no questions. Todd's experienced this before a couple of times himself. It scared him out of the building once. But that's
Just once.
That's one of the devices. You know, here's the interesting thing. I'm big on audio. I love
Yeah, and explain that,
recording.
EMPs.
EVPs, electronic voice phenomenon. It is where you actually pick up something that you don't hear with the naked ear. I used a lot of digital recorders. You know what I'm using now? My phone.
Really?
Yeah, I have found that the phones have got some of the best mics now.
That's
Oh,
so
yeah,
funny.
right.
And you can set it to do up to 5 or 6 hours recording, or you can do it in
Wow.
sections of 10 minutes.
Well, speaking
That's
of this,
amazing.
you've brought one with you today, and we are going to listen. Now, set this up. Where was this?
This is actually at the old Murray Elementary School. It was
Okay.
Erin's very first ghost hunt. This
I
is like
remember.
13 years ago.
Yes, that
Wow.
was so exciting.
And you actually, me, Erin, and I think there was 3 other ladies, were walking in this little room, and I said, look out, there's a chair there.
Right.
And you hear a voice say, I can't see. It's probably one
Okay,
of the
all right.
clearest EVPs that I've
All
ever
right, so
got.
here it is.
There's a chair there. I can't see.
Okay, I have to listen to that again.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's just that I'm cold, but I've got spine chilling.
I dig
Okay.
how it's kind of like a foreign voice. too.
Right,
It sounds
right,
like he's
right.
got a little bit of an accent.
and he
Okay.
sounds so sad.
Okay.
Yeah, he sounds so sad.
Listen again.
There's a chair there. I can't see.
Oh, that's not creepy at all.
I'm sorry, I live for this
Oh my
stuff.
gosh.
I really do.
I love that EVP.
That
And
is
it's
a
just
really good one.
It's just a random
Oh my
voice that we
gosh.
caught as we were walking through a building.
All right.
Let's go through some of the etiquette, because I know for a lot of people when they want to go ghost hunting, they're like, yeah, let's go in, and they start charging around and doing stuff. Now, particularly in a graveyard, there's things that you do so that people don't hate your guts for the rest of your life. What's the right way to ghost hunt?
I think the first and most important thing is if it says don't come in, no trespassing, don't do it. Nothing ruins a ghost hunt faster than the police arresting you and you going to jail.
That's a downer, yeah.
It is a real downer. That's the biggest thing. Another etiquette is if there are other people that are out ghost hunting, there's a lot of small little towns and small cemeteries here. Merker Cemetery is one of my favorites. You can go to Merker out past Tooele, and almost any night you're going to find 6 or 7 people there doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah.
Respect those people. You know, if you want to get involved, ask them, hey, is it okay if we join you? Use their equipment or share your equipment. Just that common courtesy. And that's one of the problems we've been having in the paranormal field, is that I think a lot of people nowadays just don't have the respect for each other like they should when it comes to the paranormal side.
You know, I know you've gotten into a lot of places that they had said, no, this isn't happening, because you were respectful. You'd actually done some research beforehand about the site and said, hey, this is our position, this is what we'd like to do. And you've gotten into a lot of places other people haven't because of that approach.
Another thing too is that I'm also willing to help them understand what's going on. Hey, I'm not here to say this place is haunted. I do everything I possibly can to see and find what could it be other than a ghost.
Interesting.
So then once I've eliminated everything that's possible, that's when I say to myself, okay, this is paranormal. Is it actually a ghost? I don't know, but it isn't something that we can normally do. There's no way we can recreate it. There's no way we could, we could probably fake it if we wanted to, but there isn't a way to do it.
All right, so you're talking about audio. Let's talk about video now. Now, where was this video taken?
This is actually taken at Area 51, the little dance club here in Salt Lake.
Oh, I was thinking the other one.
Yeah. I had the opportunity to investigate the place a few times.
Okay.
It was an old mill, wool mill.
Right.
Lots of great things happen, and we set a camera up, put a flashlight on. One of the things I like to do is just turn on a flashlight just so it's barely on.
Right.
And then I ask ghosts to turn the flashlight on and off.
Okay.
And you actually see the flashlight roll.
Wait. Let's just run it.
Okay.
I want to see this.
Watch.
Okay, so how long did you leave this flashlight?
We set the camera up, and it was probably a good 2 hours that I just let the camera sit there.
Right.
And then
So you actually saw this afterwards when you were going back through the footage?
Yeah, actually through the footage. So
okay, so what are we seeing here? The light is changing.
The light is changing. You actually start off. You'll notice that the flashlight will start to roll.
Right.
One way or another.
This is not good.
No. And then there's actually the flashlight goes on and off.
Right.
And then there's a green light next to it, which is actually a K2 meter, another ghost meter.
Oh, the green light.
The green light goes
on the right.
on.
Right.
And then the flashlight goes off. And then the green light goes off, and the flashlight goes on. So they were using both devices to communicate with us.
That's crazy.
Cool.
All right, so here's another question. Question for it's almost Halloween.
Yeah.
And is there any significance with the other world with Halloween, or is this just another day?
Just really our holiday.
It's our holiday, but there is some historical information about Halloween itself. A lot of people believe pagans and other druids, things like that. That this is the solstice, the separation of the veil, where the veil is thinner on this particular day or this particular time, so we can communicate a little bit better. If you study the history of Halloween, a lot of it has to do with that. I don't want to say a cult, but a different side of religion. And a lot of the Christian beliefs or a lot of Christian holidays follow pagan holidays, because the Catholic Church said,
wanted to make up for it
and encourage people. Halloween, on the other side, is my favorite holiday.
Yeah, and
always.
I get to wear spandex, so
Okay.
that's everyone's happy.
Yeah, it's a personal thing. We try not to address it. Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. What are your top 3 if we were going to say, okay, you're a newbie, or maybe you're just experienced, you want to get in and out, you want to make sure you have a good time, you're kind of time challenged. What are your top 3 haunt sites along the Wasatch Front?
Okay, Salt Lake City Cemetery you can go to anytime except after dusk. They encourage you not to come here after dark.
No dogs.
No dogs. But it's so quiet up here. I've captured EVP, and I've had full figure apparitions while I've walked through the cemetery.
Get the hell out.
Yeah.
Really? Like what?
So I was walking down a street not too far from here, and I'm walking along, and I was raised by a military man, so I was always taught to be polite, and I saw a gentleman standing on a stone.
Right.
On a tombstone. I said, "Hey, how are you?" And as I was walking by, he goes, "You can see me?" Kind of stopped for a second. I shake my head and I turn and I look and he's completely gone.
Ah, there you go.
I live
So
for
that
this
was really
stuff.
cool.
There you
go. So Salt Lake City Cemetery is a great place to come, historical wise. Don't come after dark. Just
No.
come in during the day.
Oh, by the way, if you come after dark, the foxes are out.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember the story, but there was these cat mutilations that they kept talking and talking about. And then finally...
They were freaking out going, there's a demonic cult in the Salt
Finally-
Lake City Cemetery.
Finally, a wildlife division guy steps forward and goes, there's foxes that live in the cemetery along with all the deer, and they eat cats. And that's where that all came from.
You know, another thing too, when I was younger, this used to be the go and watch the submarine races.
Oh, yeah,
When I was in
yeah.
high school.
Yeah.
They have a caretaker who has a nice shotgun full of rock salt.
Cemetery Sam with the rock salt. And
She
then
lived
we got
down the street
dog.
from here.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, we grew up with all those.
Yeah,
stories.
so
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
you definitely don't want to come in dark.
When-
So
when
that's Salt Lake City Cemetery is a
Okay,
great one.
so what are the other two?
I really like Mercer Cemetery. It's another great place out in
I
Tooele.
went with you.
Yep. It kind of
Phantasmagoric
reminds you of Area 51. You've got the whole lights. People have seen UFOs out there as well.
Really?
So, you know, a little X-Files.
Plus,
kinda.
you have the whole factory that's dismantling all the nerve gas.
Yeah.
And it's lit up. It look like the X-Files. Something from...
Maybe the nerve gas is the reason why we see you. No,
Perhaps.
Let's not even joke about that. What have you seen there that was so, ultimately creepy?
So I'm a gun nut, and I don't like to go out in the wilderness without carrying some sort of protection because
Right.
of foxes and
Exactly.
coyotes and things
Yes.
like that. So I had a digital recorder in one hand. And
Safety first.
camera
Oh,
in
wait,
the
wait,
other.
wait.
Yeah.
Where's the...
And I had my gun on my holster.
Okay.
And we were talking, and all of a sudden, I felt my gun get moved back and forth.
Oh, that seems ominous.
And you're really sensitive to that feel.
yes.
Yeah, with
Because
a
if
firearm.
somebody bumps
Whoops,
it, you're like...
hey, what's going on?
Right.
You actually hear it being jiggled on the audio. And that was up in Mercer.
That's so scary.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I was just like, if I'm ever going to take a shot, it's going to be from a ghost. I'd be totally cool as long as we got it on video.
I could see that, sure. And this is the place you told me what you saw phantasmagoric flames. I was trying to do
Yes.
the right phrase, but you saw
Yeah.
flames coming up. They were like, they're not,
Yep.
I don't know how to say they're not ghost flames, but they were the flames like a reflection of what had
Reflection
happened in
of
the past.
happened in the past. We also had several dark shadows that have crossed in front of us. A lot of EVPs up there.
Go ahead.
The very first time we went up there, there was 4 of us, and between the 4 of us, we probably at the time had, I want to say, close to 60 years of paranormal experience between the 4 of us.
Wow.
Within 30 minutes, we were running down the hill. We were that freaked out.
That was awesome.
That is awesome.
awesome. Yeah.
All right, one last question I have. Now,
Okay.
A lot of people have this. Is what's that thing that in the corner of your eye you see?
Peripheral vision.
Yes,
It's
just
standard.
like right out here.
That a lot of times when you see a full apparition or you see a ghost, it's usually out of that peripheral vision. It's just out of the corner of the eye.
Right.
It's because we've trained ourselves throughout our entire life. We don't have the invisible friends. There isn't anybody living in the
Right.
closet. There's no boogeyman.
Right.
So we're going to notice it off the peripheral vision. A lot of times when I've seen full apparitions, it's been off of that, and I'll turn and I'll look, and they're gone.
Right.
I did go to an investigation down in Cimarron, New Mexico, the old hotel. A lot of history.
Right.
I'm sitting in the hallway, and I see a gentleman who is wearing an Old West outfit, chaps, spurs, dirty cowboy shirt, a hat.
I don't think it's a guy.
Yeah, he walks right in front of me.
Right.
And as the light hits him, he dissipates. And I'm just
Okay.
sitting there going,
Yeah.
Wow.
How
That
much
was
a night?
cool.
How much a night is that place? And
Yeah,
why
you
don't
were
I
on
want to pay that?
All right. So before we close, though, one last one. You said we had the top 3 of the scariest places, like most effective places. What would be the
you know
third?
what? I think the Rio Grande here in Salt Lake, the
Why
old
is
train
that
station.
so crazy?
There is the lady in blue, the lady in purple. There's been lots of different stories. A woman who actually, her husband or fiance refused to come and meet her, and she was brokenhearted, and she jumped in front of the train and killed herself.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
So she's seen there. A lot of homeless people have lost, have
Lives,
frozen
yeah.
and
Yeah.
lost their
Yeah,
lives in that
yeah.
area. So it's pretty haunted. So that general area is pretty good in Salt Lake. I don't know what the access is to it. I've had the opportunity to go in there a couple of times after hours through some other locations and other people that I've known. You can always ask and look. I mean, there's no harm in giving somebody a call. You see an old history museum or
Right.
a place like that, what I suggest is give them a call, say, hey, is there anything I can do to help volunteer and help?
Smart.
Get your
Yeah, once
foot in the
again,
door,
yeah.
get them to know who you are, get them
Right.
to trust you, and then say, you know what, I heard some really cool stories about this place. I'm just kind of interested if maybe it'd be okay if I hung out after hours.
Right.
And if you don't want me to share the information, if I catch anything, you don't want it to be known, hey, I'm
Right.
fine with that. If you're totally cool with it
Right.
and you want me to share it, I would love to share my experiences.
Oh, that's very cool.
Okay. So before we close, I have to say, I've always grown up being terrified. I didn't want to go into the basement. I was always sure there was something. Then there wasn't. But the first time I actually did have a ghost that lived with me, and it was in a house that was almost 200 years old in Virginia. And it was a little boy, and I loved him dearly to the point where when I moved back, I went,
Yeah.
honey, do you want to come home with me? Because I'm worried about leaving you here. And I think people always have this vision that it's going to be something that's going to eat you or like
Yeah.
possess you or blah, blah, blah. Can you tell people what actually happens when you have these experiences? What are you really seeing and feeling?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with somebody who has not finished something here on Earth for one reason or another. They just don't feel like they've accomplished everything. Maybe they don't even know they've passed away. A child has died tragically and doesn't even realize they're dead. So what they're doing is they're trying to communicate with you, and they're trying to talk with you, and they're trying to befriend you just like they would anybody else. I think a lot of other times too, some of these experiences, like the gentleman I saw here in the cemetery, the full apparition, I later went back and looked at the tombstone, and it was right around the anniversary of his death.
Oh, wow.
So I'm assuming that maybe he's just
Right.
coming here to see if there's any of his family coming to visit him.
Right.
And that's the reason why he's here. So there's a lot of theories behind it. I honestly believe that a lot of the spirits that we're seeing are those that have passed away and just don't realize it yet.
Interesting.
You and I have experienced that with the girl up in the Baron Woolen Mill.
Yes.
And watching spirits cross over, and hopefully they find some peace. That's another joy of paranormal investigation and ghost hunting. That's the next step. I think a lot of people do this for the thrill of it. Let's go get scared.
Yeah.
Hey, and that's totally cool.
And it
You know?
works.
And it works.
And it works. We were.
When you go to your 10th or 15th ghost hunt and nothing happens and you start getting bored, that's when people start to leave. But there are a few of us that stick around going, okay, why didn't anything happen? Did I not ask the questions right? Did I not use the right
Well,
equipment?
It's also called fishing.
Fishing.
It's not catching.
It's exactly right.
It's fishing.
That's exactly right.
Right.
And then that's where you go to the next level. What can I do to try to encourage those spirits? What can I do to talk to those ghosts? What can I get them to answer me and my questions? Then you get to the next point. Okay, how can I help them? And I think that's
love
where
this.
Right.
I'm at now. Is I do this. I don't do it as much as I used to. I still do it occasionally, and I still love it. It's a great hobby, great experience. And those moments where you do find a spirit that communicates with you and you resolve their issues, and you just have this feeling like they're not coming back, they finally crossed over, that to me is the ultimate reward.
There you go.
That's huge.
All
If they
right.
wanted to get in touch with you or ask you questions, maybe they wanted you to host a ghost hunt, that's something we still have to talk about
Yeah.
sometime soon. How would they find you?
Facebook's the best way. Tommy Carr on Facebook. I also am a somewhat professional photographer on the side.
Yes,
you
T
are.
Carr Photography. So there's lots of places.
So if you're going to
there.
marry a ghost,
That would be like the perfect combination, wouldn't it? No.
No.
Tom, thanks for being
No,
here.
thank
You're
you.
amazing.
I love you guys. as
Thanks for being
always.
here in our the cemetery.
Your backyard.
It really is, to be honest.
It
So,
really
yeah.
is. It really is.
Let's go say hi to Lily Gray. I think she's just right up that
Yeah,
way,
I'm
shall we?
Happy Halloween.
Let's go over here.
Okay.
So what have you thought about trying to do something